Miley Cyrus just released one of the most consistent albums of her career, titled Something Beautiful. After years of hopping between various styles, she has found the perfect balance between her commercial and left-field sensibilities, and delivered a true state-of-the-art pop album. Leading up to this album, I simply did not know what to expect, and in a sense, you never really do with Miley. I'm open to following her journey, to see her swing and miss, to see her swing and hit. Her attempts have not always been the most consistent, but when she is on, she is on. She's in this interesting phase of being a legacy artist and simultaneously a contemporary interest in pop music. Flowers was a massive success that won her 2 Grammys. While its parent album Endless Summer Vacation left people a little divided, I think that as a legacy and commercial move, it made a lot of sense. And Miley stated that after getting the validation with the success and accolades of Flowers that she had secretly been craving her entire career, it gave her the push to set out to explore more and make, in her words, the album that she's been wanting to make her entire adult career. And speaking to her point of validation, she is an iconic figure. She raised an entire generation with Hannah Montana. But while 2013's bangers helped her escape the Disney image, the controversies that preceded the singles and the rollout negatively impacted the way Miley was received for a long time, and some might say how she is still currently received. Critics tend to have a very snobby attitude towards Miley, even in the face of poptimism. There's this sentiment that has followed her where it's like, we don't take this seriously, or even take it into serious consideration because it's Miley Cyrus. And I do think some of Miley's inconsistencies have also flamed that fire. But there are moments like 2020's Plastic Hearts where I thought she's making her best work and no one is really paying attention, and the critics, while not bad, are just mostly mild. But at this point, Miley has definitely paid her dues. In a perfect world, Something Beautiful would have been the album to follow Plastic Hearts, but without the success of Flowers, Something Beautiful would likely not exist. Across the board, I find Something Beautiful to be her most mature album yet, and pretty much every sense, musically and lyrically. There's a lot of sophistication on this record. Everything doesn't land, but there's a lot of attention to detail. This album cycle kicked off with the title track, which starts off as this jazzy R&B ballad before descending into a hard rocker, where Miley pleads for her object of desire to tell her something beautiful in the most intense ways until their lips turn blue. And it contrasts with the hard rock part that signifies the intense feeling she has as she says, "Boy, I'm losing my breath. I'm undressing, I'm confessing that I'm so obsessed." But the title track is a singular moment on this album. There's not a lot of hard rock elements at play or jazzy R&B. Not the End of the World is the second single from this album, and it's deceptive. It sounds like a cheery pop tune inspired by ABBA and Fleetwood Mac, which talks about celebrating life before the world ends. One thing Miley has been known for is her ballads, from The Climb to Angels Like You to Used to Be Young. More to Lose might be one of the weirdest ballads she's ever done, but not in the obvious way. It's pretty standard in its lyrics and melody, but the production is so textured and detailed. The jangly synth in the chorus, the warm piano lines, and the gorgeous saxophone in the bridge. There's so much going on, but it never feels overproduced or chaotic. It's all done with a beautiful finesse. The interludes on this album are also just sonic ear candy, ranging from bouncy synths to less strings. It sounds like a lot of care put into it, and it's not just there, but it transitions beautifully into the songs. The album flows very cohesively. Easy Lover is the song that Miley stated she originally wrote for Beyonce's Cowboy Carter album, and it's a pretty standard disco jam. Much like End of the World, it feels like a more by-the-books commercial play. I will give props to the performance on Easy Lover though. Miley sounds impassioned, where she talks about her devotion to someone who isn't an easy lover. "You're a wildfire, and I'm in your path. I decided I want to keep dancing in the ashes," she says in verse 2. It's the direct opposite of Flowers lyrically, but shares a similar sonic palette. Golden Burning Sun is interesting because it comes across as a love song as she sings, "You're the only one under the golden burning sun," but that seems to come with conditions as she repeatedly asks, "Can I have you if I never let you down?" She then sings Surrender, and it almost feels like a plea. She wants to devote so much of herself to this person. Walk of Fame is an electronic disco pop song where Miley proclaims every time I walk it's a walk of fame, where it seems like it can be a double meaning with a romantic relationship and her actual relationship with fame. Every day, every night, it's all the same. "I walk the concrete like it's a stage," she says. Pretend You're God is an interesting track lyrically, and a bit of a devastating one. And sonically, it's like this jangly soft rock psychedelic experience. It reminds me of Miley Cyrus and her Dead Pets. "Do you still love me? I gotta know. Never mind, just keep it quiet if you don't. Do you still love me? I gotta know," she sings. Hold me in your arms, pretend that you're God. Recreate the stars for me one by one. I'll give you what you want, pretend that you're God all night long. There's a desperation in the lyrics and her performance. She's willing to give up everything to this person. In a sense, she wants them to be her God, so she can feel closer to them and feel that they still love her for certain. But by the end of the track, Miley's having a breakdown, where she repeatedly says, "I'm haunted, he's missing, he's missing." It's definitely one of the most unique offerings on the album, and almost feels cinematic. Meanwhile, Every Girl You've Ever Had recalls some of the 80s disco rock of Plastic Hearts, and it turns into this Vogue track featuring Naomi Campbell, where Naomi Campbell plays Miley's hype man on the track, while Miley is furious and sad about not getting what she wants from this person. "Aren't I pretty enough for more than fun in the dark? Why are you still holding on to your heart? Looking for the one, but one is never enough. I'm every girl you've ever loved." Naomi Campbell contrasts that by saying, "She has the perfect scent, don't you want me baby? Pose. She speaks that perfect French, don't you want me baby?" Reborn probably has one of the stickiest pop melodies on the record. She channels her inner Donna Summer on this track. She sees herself exchanging reinvention for love. She is fine with the ego death if that means she receives the love that she wants. The album ends on a relatively light note with Give Me Love, where Miley takes on this character of discovering love for the first time, and how even in the last moments on the song, where she's eaten alive, the last thing she does is call out her lover's name with absolutely no fear. Something Beautiful really feels like Miley's first cohesive album experience, and even though it touches on so many different styles, it feels very cohesive. It's definitely not a perfect album, but everything feels like it's supposed to go together. I think its biggest downfall, some of the songs on the album are simply cookie cutter or outright boring, even with the bells and whistles. I do think leading with Something Beautiful, she gave the expectation that it will lean far more left field, but it's a pop album through and through. Nonetheless, a pretty solid pop album. Miley worked with a strong team for this album, including BJ Burden, Sean Everett, Brittany Howard of Alabama Shakes fame, and her boyfriend, Max Miranda, just to name a few. Something Beautiful has beautiful moments, it's something interesting, it's something good, and it's something that's definitely an artistic step up for Miley, and adds a new, more precise chapter to her career full of reinventions.